Hello everyone, welcome back for the second episode of Earthen's Den. Now right now I'm doing a trial and error, but I believe that I'm going to lean more so towards reflection and kind of just the lessons that we've learned throughout the day. So it'll be more so like a nighttime vibe, nighttime podcast, basically. Kind of like an I'll Be Sure, except with a woman. So I'm sitting here and it's lunchtime. So it's actually very early, but this was something that was just crossing my mind. Every morning I wake up and I have a routine. So every morning I pretty much go to a park or something like that. I walk my dog and I reflect and I think about like my intentions. I think about my heart and where I'm at, just like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then I come back and I'll meditate and I have breakfast. Now, me personally, I love structure, but sometimes routine can get a little janky for me. So I don't always have like a set order in the ways that I do things, but those are just basically some of my morning routine habits that I incorporate every day. So if that's something that you're struggling with, then those are just kind of like my basic things. And then I only work out like 3 times a week. I tell my friends and like people all the time, like I'm not really one to try to build anything because I've always wanted a lot of kids. If you don't know me, you do know that I want a lot of kids. So I'd be like, hey, if I was to work out and put on all this weight and then I had kids, then I'd just be huge. And so that's just my own personal thing. So I typically just do cardio because I think that's really good for the soul and it's good for my mental state. And then I kind of do like toning exercises. But in this episode, I really want to talk about the lost art of individuality. I do not think that people understand like the power of influence. I think that the power of influence is actually something that is so underestimated. Like we don't even realize it, but you are greatly impacted by the people that you hang around. And I know we hear these simple utterances, right? If you're around 5 bums, you're going to be the 6th bum. If you're around 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th millionaire. I don't think that people really grasp that. And I feel like right now we are in a society where everything is so cliquey. Like everybody wants kind of like just what it appears to be like these social settings and like these social circles. And, there really isn't any genuinity like in the relationships in itself. But because it looks good online, then this is kind of like something that's working, right? I think that's another unpopular opinion. But I was thinking about that today and I'm like, the time that I've spent alone, like not dating, not being on the scene, just literally just spending time alone with myself, you really get to know who you are. Like you really get to understand who you are and just like where you're at with everything and how you feel. Man, in the last episode, I talked about how energy was totally fluid. And it's been times, you guys, if you just take some time to just isolate yourself, right? You're going to find that some stuff that you were feeling and some burdens you were carrying just really were not your burdens to be carrying. I don't know what it is, but sometimes when you're around people, they may give off a high vibe, or it may even just be your energy that's radiating into their space. And you leave that person and you feel depleted and you're battling with all this anxiety and this confusion and this frustration. And then you have to sit back and be like, oh, wait a minute, this is actually not mine to carry. This is not my stuff. You know what I mean? And you were not going to know that until you step into a space and be your own person. I think another thing, just in regards to the lost art of individuality, is that not only do you get to know yourself, but you get to continue to learn yourself and you get to continuously become, instead of kind of staying in seasons with people and situations and relationships that are longer, staying in seasons longer than you have to with people just based on codependency. I feel so often we're always in relationships just based on codependency. This is not something that grows us or, out of loyalty or anything like that. I believe that maturity is really getting into a space where you can love without attachment, right? In regards to a spiritual principle, but also allowing people to just kind of be themselves and go their own way and do their own things and figure things out for themselves without it having to be so much conflict. I feel like anytime you separate yourself from somebody or vice versa, it's always like there's this big mess that there has to be a reason, right? And sometimes the reason is literally just because you need to take care of yourself. You need to nourish yourself. You need to replenish yourself. I know me, I spent a lot of time in relationships with people where I was just continuously pouring and nobody was pouring back into me. And I talked about that briefly in the last episode, but it is so important to like really surround yourself with people who pour into you. And what I had to learn, and what everybody really needs to understand in this episode, is that you're not going to find these people just every day on an everyday basis. Like, they're probably not in your life. You need to give it time, and you need to become a better person, right? Work through your own self, step into a sense of truth, right, for yourself, so that these people can gravitate towards you, and vice versa. Work on restoring yourself, replenishing yourself, so that you are running over and that you can actually pour into others without being depleted. But like, these people are not people that you run into on a daily basis. That I can assure you, because the reality is that, like, I don't think that there's a really healthy balance right now. Like, I think we're all dealing with some sense of narcissism just because social media, it's like, look at me, this is, you know what I mean? And that's fine. I think that me and my friend talked about that. Is weird. It's like you kind of have to have a little bit of it just so that you know your stuff and you know who you are when you come out to the world and you present yourself in such a way. But we're also in a space where we're entering into like unhealthy narcissism and just like unhealthy quote unquote selfishness, because I've had so many people say, oh, I just need to protect my energy. But it's like, if this is somebody that you care about, or if this is a friend, why not extend that joy or that helping hand and look out for them? I'm not saying coddle anyone. I'm not saying allow anyone to enter into your space with all of their mess and all of their baggage and all of those things. But let's find a balance in knowing like what a friend is and what it actually means to be there for someone when they're maybe in a season in their life, or maybe when they're dealing with some negativity. Like, let's learn to share our light without quote unquote trying to protect our energy, because I believe that the reality is that selfishness right there actually comes back tenfold. And that's just law. So like, what you're putting out is totally coming back to you. And seasons are always changing. Like, the season's constantly changing. So just be mindful of that. I'm all for protecting your energy. I'm all for, entering into a space where, you're just handling your business and you may not have anything to give. Like, I'm all for that. But at the same time, it's like we live in a society where like we are literally watching people kill themselves. Like, there are some people who will literally watch somebody post online every day. This could be a close friend. This could be somebody in their space, like somebody that they know, like on a first name, last name basis, right? You got their phone number, or, you guys may have connected in other ways online. But we really do live in a society where people will really watch you kill yourself. Like, to me, it is so crazy. It's so disturbing. Like, there are some people who will literally watch somebody talk about how they are dealing with depression, how today was just so tough, and how they don't want to be here anymore. And it's like, nobody thinks to reach out to this person because, oh, they're just in a negative space. I need to protect my energy. Like, what is that about? Like, to me, I think that's unhealthy. Like, that's that unhealthy narcissism. That's that unhealthy, quote unquote, selfishness that is just ruining relationships and society in so many ways, because it's just crazy. And I even listen to certain songs and I'm like, how is it that this person is in the studio talking about, they're dealing with depression and suicide and all of these things, and everybody's just not into the beat. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, this is dope. Like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, whoa. And I will say this. You don't ever want to necessarily judge a person when they're in a season like that. If you're not going to step in and be that beacon of light and share your light and share your energy in that space for that person, then that's one thing. But I think it's something said about that. Like, it's so crazy. I think about just how when people come out of those seasons and they kind of enter into a space of like bitterness and they're like, nobody was there for me. Now, me personally, I've experienced that, but it's one of those things to where I've just kind of found peace with like God. I felt like if these people were supposed to be there during those seasons, then, they would have been there. But me just being like a woman of God, and I felt like that was just time for God and I to just be closer and kind of like, get to know each other, and you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't let that bitterness harbor in my heart, because I just feel like, if they would have been there, then I think, well, I wouldn't have been close to God, and I wouldn't have had that relationship, and I wouldn't have had my actual source, and I would have been relying on people to get me out of that space. But I mean, I'm a human being, right? So you're gonna feel some type of way, and you're gonna be like, well, you weren't there for me, right? Because it's true, like, you weren't there for me. And I think that's the thing people don't understand in this society of this whole selfishness, like this selfish narcissism. It's like, what people don't realize is that everybody can be around you when you're up. Like, people don't get that. Like, I don't need you around me when I'm feeling good. I can go talk to anybody when I'm feeling good. Like, I can kick it with anybody when I'm feeling good. Like, who doesn't want to be around good vibes? But like, if you're in a space and you're just not feeling like yourself, and you're really going through some tough times, and people don't want to be around you, that says a lot. Like, that says a lot about just how they feel about you, and just like the whole nine, and like where you stand with them. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Like, I see it happening every day, and I see it happening so often. And so I don't necessarily want to say that like it's not a healthy balance, but I just feel like there's definitely an imbalance there. And I don't know, y'all. So I would say that in regards to just like being alone, like, you have a sense of self, you have strength, you have renewal, you have clarity, you have structure for your life, you have a vision that is so clear, right? Because you're not surrounded by distractions and just like people who are just parasitic. You know what I mean? It's a very beautiful space. And I think that that's something that we should normalize, because what's happening is like we're getting in relationships. And I was thinking about this today as I was walking. I'm like, I don't know what it is, why people are always saying that, you teach a person how to treat you, right? And I love where Mrs. Van Zandt actually talks about how the reality is that you get to step into a person's life, and they literally are going to show you what they can do for you, how they treat you, and that's up to you to decide to stay. I think I'm rolling with that. Like, I can't tell you how much time I've wasted trying to teach people how to treat me, like, if somebody treats people like crap, what makes you think you can really step into this person's life and try to alter that, right? Like, this goes back to when people show you their true colors, believe them. Like, this is who this person is. Now, whether or not this is for a season in their life, whether or not they're going to get checked later on down the line and karma and they'll change, that's fine. But like, right now, if this is where I met you and this is how you're treating me, I'm not going to stay and try to change you. I'm not going to stay and try to teach you. Like, no. You know what I mean? Of course, stand up for yourself. Of course, 110. But I'm just saying, like, don't waste so much of your time in that space trying to get people to value you or see you for who you are. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're doing nothing but wasting your time. I think in seasons, you continue to get better in life. You continue to strengthen your sense of self and discover who you are. And as you do that, you start to attract different people at different levels. And it, honestly, you guys, it just gets better and better and better. So individuality it's totally a lost art. And if it's not something that you're familiar with, I would definitely recommend starting to practice it and get really, really good at it. And people say, oh, you're just lonely and all of those things. Well, I really believe, I can't think of it. I think it was like a monk. And he basically just said, like, if you're alone and you're lonely, then you're not a good friend, right? So it's like, just be content with yourself. That's all I'm saying. Be content with yourself, because once you get into that space of like value and worth, you really stop settling for people's bullcrap. Like, you would much rather be alone and happy than just be around people just to say you're around people and have people around you and you're miserable, and people can really make or break, man. Like, it's really crazy. And you've seen it happen time and time again. And I talked about that in the last episode. Like, you know, you be around people who are pretentious and the whole nine. It's just not good. It's really not good. And like when you hang around people who aren't pouring into you, they're obviously doing the opposite, right? They're taking from you. And so, don't enter into those spaces with those people, because that can really alter your life, and not a positive way. Definitely not in a positive way. So I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts, and I'm going to try to come up with some platform. I don't know if I'm going to do like Twitter or what, to kind of connect with you guys and converse on these topics. So hope everybody has a great day.